Hello. So I am in the car and my mom had to run in somewhere and I have a few minutes on the way to the place that she needed to stop at first. I saw Polaris on, I don't know why I smiled so much when I said Polaris, on a license plate, and when I looked at the clock it was 1:11 simultaneously. So you could be seeing ones. Also, Rigel, the blue star in Orion. Rigel has been coming through the last day or so. I'm hearing in a voice like, oh, darling. I don't know, like a Corella DeVille kind of character. Like, it's been much longer than that. With like the long cigarette holder and like the deep voice. A bit British. I don't know. That could be for someone. Also, a phrase that's been repeating all week. I must have heard it 10 plus times. And that is not an exaggeration. It's probably an under exaggeration. You are ready. So, Polaris being our current North Star. There's also something about the rotating North Star, like the rotation of the North Star. So maybe some of you are, excuse me. My mom is literally never, I'm saying my whole life, never, ever fast in a store, like ever. This is her record time. So there must be a reason for that. So I'm going to pause and pick up.
A little shuffle there.
Okay, so we are at the next stop and I'm in the car again. Well, I haven't gotten out of the car. Some confirmations that were coming through, cayenne, like cayenne pepper, and the initials J and C. 125. White feathers. Okay, so there's something about ancestral lineage transmutation, and when this morning my Nana loves to tell stories, and she is forgetting a lot, losing her memory, and so I had this idea to help preserve her story, and asked her if she just wanted to be recorded and talk about it. And while we were doing it, I saw 888-444-222, and a white feather like flew by the window, and it just felt really, I just saw an orb like fly down. I think it was north. I'm not sure what the word is at the moment, but anyway, so there could be, in particular with the mother lineage or the feminine energy within the family. And also, in particular, my right wrist just like lit up with pain. So there could be something about wrist pain, or arthritis or something of that nature, but hyper independence or hyper masculinity within the feminine energy. So there could be like a rebalancing of that sort of dynamic. And in addition to that, when I was recording yesterday for I'm still sort of distilling exactly what this is, but I recorded quite a lengthy recording that I just felt the ping come in, and I just let whatever wanted to come through. And one of the energetic strands was about a dream that I had, and it's interesting because there were 3 particular messages that came through the dream, and I couldn't remember the third one until I literally, when I stopped recording, I remembered. So I'm trusting that there's a reason for that, and I feel like it's meant to come through this transmission. So I was talking about the rotation of the North Star and how I don't remember how often it is, but every so often the North Star shifts, and right now it is Polaris. So there could be something about like cyclical evolution, like maybe rotations of some sort, like maybe you're getting into like the bigger vision of something, or yuga cycles. That's been coming through a lot. Even just understanding your own cycles, family cycles, patterns. And then for some of you, it may be more also like planetary, global, cosmic, multidimensional. And it's funny because I'm sitting in front of a target, you know, the symbol for target with the circle and then the circle around it. Oh, okay. So I did not realize this at all, but last night when I was falling asleep, I was literally seeing a circle and then like concentric circles, and they were forming in real time and then dissolving and then forming and dissolving. And now that I'm looking at the target symbol, it flashed and helped me remember. So this feels very synchronistic of the timing, because I was not planning to record right now. I know I say that a lot, but it's just the way this works. So yeah, there is something about following those intuitive nudges. And as I was watching these circles form and dissolve, concentric circles, they came in black, and the outline in the background was like an ultraviolet light. So it was like these black circles that were forming, dissolving, and in and out of ultraviolet light. The violet flame could be significant for some of you. I'm just going to take a sip of my tea because my throat the last few days has really, when I try to record, it's almost every time I try to record, my throat is closing up. And I've heard other other people going through this as well right now. Like other people that I listen to on YouTube are also having this phenomenon. So I feel like there is absolutely something energetically right now that is sort of trying to maybe dilute some of the energy coming in, because I posted the other day, what was that one? About the solar, the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, and the Schumann resonance, and how we were having these. I just saw an orb flash in. I'm going to call it, so orbs can be used very loosely. This feels more like a pearlescent plasma, like a flash. I'm also seeing violet and blue light codes that just came in. Excuse me. Okay, so continuing on. Yeah, so just something to be mindful of when there's a flash of light, like we just had through the solar, oh my God, the solar flashes pick up, and then they were also coming in like pillars, right? This like grounding rod sort of frequency. And this morning when I woke up, I just felt this like heaviness again that I felt yesterday from the solar energy. So those of us who feel sensitive to like the magnetic fields and the atmospheric changes, and I just like needed to sit and I was laying, not sitting, and I did like quite a long session of tuning in energetically and allowing for an alchemization, because I just like could not take another day of that feeling. And I was like, so I still feel it a little bit, but it definitely helped. And I was doing it for the collective as well. And in particular, hieroglyphic templates have been coming through really strongly lately. And I know that there's a this short that came up from Sarah Brexman Cosme. I know I'm saying that wrong, but she is a hypnotherapist therapist, like a Dolores Cannon practitioner, I believe, and she shares like themes that she picks up from her clients' high selves when she goes into hypnosis. And right after I finished the recording that I was speaking about, now I'm not going to go into all of the same aspects of the dream because I spent a lot of time already doing that. But the third message that came through this dream, it was a collective masculine. So it was this person that would represent like the divine masculine collective. And I was having right foot issues in the dream, which in this waking life, I've also been feeling collective stuff through the right foot. And I've been working through that. And so the three aspects that there were like three messages delivered from this being that represented the divine masculine collective. And like I said, I already mentioned to you in the recording. So I will be posting that at some point, and I can, if you're interested, let me know. And it also came a lot about like discernment, the Akashic records, the cloister Dora plates, and personal experiences, as well as collective messages around discerning and understanding distortions that can happen, as well as how to keep yourself in alignment with your own, basically like highest truth and integrity, etc. And so the hieroglyphic templates came up, and this third aspect or message that the masculine came in with that I could not remember during the recording was tuned into the mind, the mental faculties, and keeping your thoughts. I just heard the phrase the golden key, and I know that there is someone, Charles, I can't remember his name right now. He's pretty known at this point. He's no longer alive, but he created these like systems of how to basically tune into your thoughts and essentially like address the subconscious drivers and like create new neural pathways to shift your mindset, basically. So that could be for some of you. I did engage in his practices a little bit over the years, but they really, for me personally, I had other ways I was doing it, but there was definitely like an energetic transfer I feel like I got from some of the teachings. I'll try to remember his name and put it in the description box. But if I forget and someone's listening to this and you want to know, feel free to comment and I will respond to you. Okay, so yeah, so in the dream, the Divine Masculine Collective was saying like cleaning up your thoughts is going to really help come back into balance. And that is something I've been working on for years, and maybe some of you have as well. And it's funny because in the dream when I was hearing this, I remember thinking like, oh, well, little do you know, like I've already been doing that ahead of the curve or something, you know? So there's something about that, like the feminine energy or the collective feminine, like kind of taking the lead in ways, energetically at least, and like allowing for the rebalancing, because there's sort of like that, like almost a sense of waiting. I'm being shown, there's a specific oracle card from the White Light Oracle that talks about the story of like two lovers that shift into cranes, and I can't remember who it was at the moment. I can look it up. But this sense of like the feminine's been almost like in the energy of waiting. I'm also being shown the story of devotion. I believe it's like Radha. Why all these names are not coming to me for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But like the goddess of devotion, where she basically like has all this time to wait for this like masculine, you know, if you want to take it in a romantic sense, also it doesn't have to always be romantic, you know, it can be partially romantic, and then also just this, like, the collective itself moving into this integrated masculine and feminine, creating that, birthing that next octave. And I know I talk about that a lot, and the ascent into the next golden age, and that's where Sarah Brexman, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, comes in, because the short was so timely. Like, it came up on my feed like right after I finished recording about the hierogamic template. The whole thing was not based on that, but that did come through, and it felt like a really strong energetic strand that was appearing and weaving into the transmission overall. And something that Sarah noticed from her clients was that a lot of us talk about this, you know, ascent into the next, this golden age. You know, we've been going through a lot of devolution and more dark ages and the fall of consciousness, and now there's this ascent up to the, what should I say, up, this ascent, really within, right? It all starts within, and then starts to co-create and manifest more tangibly and physically. So with that, when she was speaking, I was already making notes about the star of Rigel and a few other constellations that have been coming through. And I was talking about the snake in a last transmission, the copper head rattlesnake that came through so strongly in a dream, and the Kundalini, just so many synchronicities. And Sarah was saying that in her sessions that not only is the idea of a golden age coming through like channelers and other means, but also like the stars are quite literally aligning. And she mentioned 2 stars. I don't remember, honestly, for some reason, I can't remember the stars that she mentioned, but she did mention the snake, which I know Hydra was coming to mind. So don't mark me on that, but I have been feeling Hydra. And I know that it's said in a lot of work that Hydra, and I always forget the other constellation, but there's 2 constellations, Hydra and another one, that are supposed to represent this masculine, feminine integration, hierogamic templates, etc. And so the integration of this, the stars allegedly from Sarah's work, and she, I guess, looked it up, and these stars are actually coming into alignment, these 2 stars that click into this golden age. And I was talking a lot about a periarchy, which I also go into in this other recording. Peri, the prefix meaning both, and that is something that has been coming through for years that I've been kind of speaking about in other realms or civilizations that have tapped into this, but maybe haven't quite manifested here in this next golden age that I feel is heading into this idea of a periarchy, of a an integration of, you know, the right and left hemispheres of the brain, like the anatomical, like the mitochondria that people are starting to understand more. There's someone online that I've been learning from about more of the mitochondria and why that's so important in this ascension process. And you know, like the electrical system, the masculine aspect of within us and our body systems working together instead of that sort of the veil of forgetfulness that a lot of us have, you know, when we incarnate on earth. Even if we have pre-birth memories or other realm memories, there's still this veil. Even when those of us are extremely tapped in, we're still, you know, incarnated in this human form and descended into our bodies. And a lot of us, you know, have not been in our bodies in a lot of ways. So this idea of the natural 111 on a license plate, as I'm talking about this, 7111 to be exact. So 111 is coming through very strongly. And the descent into the body, right? Like the spirit and the matter, like the union of that, and being more connected to the layers of our body and integrated within that, and creating from that space or co-creating from that space is like this next, a part also of this next golden age. And Polaris coming through so strongly as the North Star, right? Like in astrology, the North Node, integrating the South Node and the North Node. The South Node being like, you know, things that we've already experienced, perhaps leftover karma that we are, karma meaning action, right? So actions that we are driving on subconscious drivers that are now being looked at and adding awareness to. And even though these, quote, ages, you know, Yuga's evolution of time, it's not like it just all happens in one day. It's a process. But those of us who feel tapped into this are already starting to experience, you know, glimpses and like the phrase, like the word wavelength is coming through. Like, you know, I guess when someone's on that wavelength, they're at least semi on that. And like the more of us that continue operating in that wavelength the best that we can, yeah, there's like this coming together of that. And my mom put on a song when she got back on the car. It came on, and I don't know what song it was, but the lyrics really stood out to me. It was like picking up all the pieces. So yeah, it's like these fragmented aspects. Those of us who are looking at these pieces and then, you know, zooming out to be able to see the whole puzzle, and then zooming back in, like that one step at a time sort of energy. So coming back to the beginning, you are ready, and this North Star coming through so strongly or the North Node. Yeah, there's something about not evading like the South Node and forgetting about the past, but honoring it, seeing the past. Like when I listened to my Nana today talk about, like, I gave her, you know, the floor, like whatever you want to say about your life, like go for it. And it was not what I expected to hear, actually. It was almost like a declaration of
So I'm going to try the pet store, Jess. They didn't.
Of love, and how like being a mother and a grandmother and a great grandmother like meant so much to her. It's quite beautiful, actually. Anyway, so back to these archetypes of the masculine and feminine, and the feminine sort of taking the lead, and almost feeling like sometimes that you're waiting, and not just in the area of like the 7th house of relationships or relationship dynamics, but you know, when you are tapped in, there's a transmission that I recorded quite a while back, the new Jupiter transmission, and I talk about another astral dream experience that I had that really sort of goes deeper into this energy. So if you are interested, you can tap back into that. I haven't listened to it. It's been a long time, but I know that it's sort of this idea of having like the bandwidth to see and feel, hear, remember future and past. So life can feel sometimes almost like you're waiting for something. And I suppose the challenge is, what do you do with that? Like when you feel like you're someone who, when I say ahead of the curve, I don't mean like better than anyone or anything like that, but just when you have this, you know, something that I've realized is so many people are very in these subconscious loops, right? And they're not sitting there and pondering about the next golden age or the last golden age or what happened in between the golden ages. You know, they're just like getting by every day. And that's a part of life too. And that's also beautiful in its own way. I'm creating something, I'm not sure what it is yet, but the phrase kept coming to me, something of the nature of like beauty in the loops, you know, like looping, and the beauty in that mundane, everyday earth experience. So this is honoring all of that. But those of us who do sort of, even when you maybe have those everyday stressors, just tend to feel, even if it's not conscious, like even if some of you are just coming online with this and you're like, yeah, I've always had this sense of like, I'm waiting for something, or I'm ahead of something, or my time like hasn't come yet. That's sort of the energy I'm tapping into right now. So you are ready, right? So you are ready for something. And this feels like an energetic alignment. So I don't think that's necessarily like, there's nothing you have to run out and do right now. This is more like that like a preparation phase. Feels like it has come to a complete, and there may be like a few, you know, last minute, what's that expression? Crossing T's and dotting I's. A few last minute things. So it could just still, again, have that like 9 of Wands from tarot. Like you may be a little exhausted. You may be having some like needing to rest more, or maybe your focus has been a little bit like a goldfish. I feel like I've been going through that a little bit, like when I try to focus on something and I was like, no, like I can't right now. But then when the moment strikes, all of a sudden I'm like laser focused. So there is something about trusting your own timing that's been coming through a lot lately. And again, these concentric circles are coming up to mind. So again, the multidimensional perspective, the bird's eye view, you could be seeing references to birds. The blue avians, as soon as I said that, I felt like it's opening in my chest, have also been coming through very strongly. Bioluminescent blue, the frequency of certain archangelic rays have been also coming through. They're going through in my head so fast, the names. I don't know if it's even important to mention the names at the moment, but it's like each one of you will have these different rays working with you, if that's something that you feel intuitively. And yeah, on Patreon, I've definitely been going deeper into the energetics and the ascension mechanics. So if that interests you, I've posted a few new transmissions this week, but there are a lot of transmissions at this point. I'm not even sure how many. I think over 100. So yeah. Also, dogs have been coming through, the symbology of dogs. But also I always think of the dog star, Sirius B. So that could also be connecting in for some of you. Crystalline water temples, things of that nature could be really calling to you energetically, as well as physically. Like maybe some of you are feeling called to a water location, like maybe you just traveled somewhere and there's more water than you're used to, or you're feeling that call to do so, or maybe you're having dreams of that, and being shown the sensory deprivation tanks for someone. For a few of you, you may be like creating something yourself, like maybe you have been like, just playing with your senses in different ways, or maybe you're feeling a call to do that. Citrus and fruit, I feel like has been coming through really strongly, like citron, grapefruit, lemon, lime, yellow fruits, like I'm seeing golden dragon fruit, bananas, Asian pears. I know these are very specific. These are just some things that are coming through. And by the way, anytime like something comes through, and because it comes in pretty fast now, I used to look up like every little single thing, and even if I have an interpretation of something, please always like also trust whatever comes through for you, and always feel free to share in the comments if you want to a symbolic interpretation of whatever it is that comes through. And I usually drink warm water quite often, and since I came back to visit my mom the past few weeks, I haven't really been drinking warm water, because I was actually, but she doesn't have a teapot, and the pot that I use, it just gives like a really not good flavor of her pots. I don't know what it is, but you can just taste the pot. So I've been kind of turned off by it, but I realized like my body really benefits from warm water. And she has this, it's a building, and there's like a lobby area where you can actually get hot water. They just have like a really, really nice machine. And so today I was like, I'm going to take advantage of this, and I really feel the difference. So there could be something like that. Something might not be the most convenient right now, but there may be like your body is calling for something. For me, it happened to be warm water and tea, but yeah. So there's something about listening to that if you have been feeling that. Oh, geese have also been coming up a lot. Like a lot of birds that mate for life. I don't know why they've been coming through. It's been a theme lately. Penguins, geese. And then I found out also, I think I wrote about this on Substack, that like some birds, some of you may already know this, I did not. Some mate for life, and then some mate monogamously for a season. And then like once the mating season is over, then they go their separate ways, and then next mating season they find a new monogamous partner. That could be for some of you. Like maybe some of you feel that way with your own relationships. Yeah, that definitely won't be for everyone, but maybe for a few people. Also, I have a very tiny pimple, like right in the center of my brows, right where the pineal is said to be the third eye. And I don't know why, but it reminds me of like an Indian culture. The name just escaped me. But for some of you, that could be significant. And my apologies that the name is escaping me. So I was reminded this morning, a song came on from Madonna, Times New Roman. I'm trying not, I just like said that, Times New Roman. Someone here could be like writing in that font or something. It could be a confirmation for someone. When I think of Times New Roman, I think of like traditional or proper, or like, yeah, traditional channels. I don't know. That could be just some message for someone, but time goes by so slowly. I'm also seeing the number 9, and I just saw a 7 and 8, 0, 8, and 3. So those numbers can be significant for someone. But I heard that song this morning in my mom's building. They play music in the lobby, and I was filling up my water, and that song came on. And I didn't realize that was like sort of the energy for this transmission that I didn't know I was recording yet. But I was reminded of that song that came on. I haven't heard it in a long time. And it used to come on or come through channels with like specific energy. So time goes by so slowly. And I feel like that's this idea of like, we can look at it as waiting for something, or like, how can we use our time when we feel like we are waiting in some way, or again, like that phrase, ahead of the curve, keeps coming up. Or more just like able to perceive time more broadly is probably a better way to put it. And, you know, that like expression to slow down and smell the roses and really like fine tune, you know, this really feels like a fine tuning sort of frequency right now, where we're giving this opportunity to do just that, like fine tune our auric field, our body or vessel. When I had shaking, someone here could be, I just saw, I'm across the street from, I think it's like a Shake Shack or something, but I was thinking of like shaking or like jumping, shaking, a practice like that. Some of you may be incorporating that, or something that you've been doing or thinking about doing. And I just realized, because I was recording on the go, the name of the recordings will just pick up the surroundings. And one of them says Airport Square. So there could be something significant about an airport. And I think I was talking about like being near water. I'm seeing the initial G. And I don't know why I was just shown Gary Coleman. And also, I'm looking at clouds right now. A coconut top bikini. These are very specific, but I'm also being shown like an aardvark, or like some kind of animal with a very pointy nose, or a fish with a very pointy nose, the initial M. And I just heard like 7mm, 3mm, 3K. These could mean things for people. An arrow down, and the cloud. So I'm cloud scrying, and sometimes the clouds move so fast, and sometimes it's a little bit slower, but right now it's like very fast. I also saw Flounder, the Little Mermaid. Okay, so golf keeps coming up. Hole in 2, hole in 3. There's like this hole-in-one golf, the golf flag. Okay. There's also something about distractions and chaotic things. Like with my mom today, she must have dropped, I can't even tell you how many things in a very short span. She just kept dropping things. We dropped an egg cracked, which cracking an egg is definitely something that I felt to take notice of. When the egg cracked, it was like I felt something in my body like jolt. So like something cracking open, you know, fertility, new life. But also again, like something breaking out of nowhere. So you may have like cancellations, again, that like fast moving energy, like the clouds were showing me so many things at once, like boom, 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 like flashcards. Yeah, so there's something about like, I'm seeing someone just with, you know, when they put those, like, are they called blinders, like on horses, when they're just like looking straight ahead? I've been doing this practice with my eyes where I like look in circles and look in the periphery and look at angles with my eyes to like exercise them and make them stronger. So it's something like that, like knowing when to look in your periphery and, you know, if you're like training a muscle or, but then also knowing when to like keep your focus straight ahead. Like I talked about earlier, your focus, I don't know why I kept seeing a goldfish, like a quick attention span. So there is something about, bringing your attention back to the focusing on a path of some sort. But sometimes I'm seeing someone like throw a wrench, throwing, you know, the expression like throwing a wrench in your plans. Again, like quick detours, cancellations. So yeah, there's something about like trying not to do your best not to, some of you maybe already be doing this and it's just confirmation to not get caught too long in cycles of disappointment. Of course, please, I always say, feel your feelings, feel what you need to feel, but there's something about like just keep trucking ahead because, yeah, you're ready. You know that you are ready. I just kept hearing that. One more thing and then I'm going to close this out. I don't think I'm actually doing an overflow on Patreon for this one, but I could change my mind. So if I do, there will be a description in the link, a link in the description. Excuse me. Yeah, I just like keep seeing so many things in the clouds, and it's like almost it's a lot of information. So there's something about not worrying about if things feel like chaotic or you're kind of like stop and go, like quiet and then chaotic, or just a lot of information at once and then kind of crickets. There's something about like trusting what you receive when you receive it, integration, and allowing that like a mini cycle of like stop, go, integrate, stop, go, integrate. And if something is really for you, like, you know, you will feel that, like prioritizing what you really feel is coming in for you. And taking like some sort of aligned step or continue taking aligned steps sort of thing. And I was speaking about this a little bit earlier, but there's something about the word home, and that came through probably like 2 months ago or something of that nature. Home frequency, home portal, the vessel being a home, relocating a home, feeling at home, finding your way home. A mentor of mine a long time ago brought through this phrase for me, and for some reason I'm feeling guided to share it. And it was a wayfinder, and it was a song that came through one of our sessions, and it was Wayfinder, I find my way home. I'm not going to sing it. And there were a few other things, but that's like the main piece of it. So there is something about that, like you are ready, and there's like this wholeness and reunification within the self of, you know, choosing yourself, and in a way that is just anchoring this home Wasn't there a movie, Homeward Bound? I don't know why I just saw Homeward Bound. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but that's coming through for someone. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you very much